I'll finish the notes. I'm going to finish the notes even if nobody shows up, but I know they will because our friends are a tardy bunch of people. And that's how it works. So welcome aboard, fantasy baseball lovers. This is Saturday Fantasy Baseball, and the sound is already good. So let's just go ahead. The sound is good. We definitely always can rely on Lenny, and he can always rely on me. And so we have each other, and the chat room will never, ever be completely empty. So we got that guarantee in life, and that's good enough, right? So we know we'll never be talking just fantasy baseball to ourselves, we'll be talking fantasy baseball to each other. Right, Leonard?
You got it.
Okay, so we have a couple of guests piling in. We always have Rotorius. I don't even know if Rotorius is here. His screen is orange, which means he hasn't been active in a while. If you're here, say hello. But Tommy Johnson winning the award for the best friend of the Melnick household. The best friend of the Melnick household is Tommy Johnson. Johnston. Can I just say Johnson?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay.
SM King Turd.
The way it is, and King Turd is here. Great to see you, Turd, and everybody. We don't have a lot of people here yet, but we're going to go ahead and get started. I believe the rest of these tardy friends of ours will come sooner or later. I'm going to just have a sip of coffee. So how is everybody today? Let's say hello in the chat room. I'm going to need a lot of interaction today. There's just not a whole lot to talk about. So we'll just have a couple sips of our coffee and we'll just be on our way. I see another tardy friend coming in. That would be, I don't know. Maybe that's Turd. Anyway, lots of big news yesterday, according to Turd, so let's get on it. So yesterday, what an interesting thing, okay, to start off the day with. Chris from Cambridge, good morning to you. Alex Cora, okay, and the Boston Red Sox. Yesterday, apparently, Danny Jansen, was he traded he had to be traded in the middle of the game. This is just unheard of what happened. On Monday, Danny Jansen will substitute in for Reese McGuire at catcher, who's not on the current roster, for the resumption of the game on 6/26 with the Blue Jays. This is too crazy. This happened a month ago. So not yesterday, but a month ago. He was the first player to play for both teams in the same game in MLB history, and he will catch the at-bat that he himself started and must be pinch hit for. So he got traded in the middle of the game. That's all there is to it. All right, so it is...
and he's going to catch his own at-bat.
But this happened in June, Leonard.
Okay.
6/26.
Triple play.
Triple play. Great to see you. So, yeah, he not only played for both teams, but he caught his own at-bat where he had to be pinch hit for. It's just never happened. It's just a crazy situation. I hope I'm making sense how I'm saying it. But basically, he got traded in the middle of the game. He not only became the first player to play for both teams in the same game in MLB history, but he also caught the at-bat that he himself started and was pinch hit for. Good morning to Chris from Cambridge. Good morning to Turd. What is this, Ernie Clement? Is this a birthday that we're talking about today? Is it Ernie Clement's birthday? Because we got a lot of stuff from yesterday that I'm not seeing. And Turd says he got this baseball card at an antique store in a cheap pack. Bo Jackson, the Royals. Yeah. Royals, Bo Jackson. All right, Leonard Donaldson, way to wake him up, dude. Way to wake him up. Everybody, triple play. Thanks for joining us, for sure. Chris from Cambridge, Data Premier's here. Rotorius, King Turd, Tommy Johnson, triple play. 3 guests that don't want to say their names. And, Bo was a bad mofo, and that's right. 16 Hall of Fame voters left Greg Maddux off their voter ballot. Do you guys think they should lose the right to vote? I mean, how many of these ridiculous voters do we have to deal with before we start coming up with a better way to get people in the Hall of Fame? Maybe the Hall of Famers that are alive should get to vote in who deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Maybe somebody other than the biased media vultures should get to decide who gets in the Hall of Fame, since they're not deciding on stats, which is really the only thing. I mean, doesn't it seem like common sense that a person would get inducted into a Hall of Fame based on their career stats? I don't want to hear about your integrity and how much people like you. I really don't care. If you were acting bad enough, they would have suspended you from baseball. If you're allowed to play the game and you rack up the criteria while you're an athlete and while you're a professional, then you should get in the Hall of Fame. Which reminds me of Pete Rose, who should be in, Curt Schilling, who should be in, no doubt about it. I mean, this Curt Schilling thing is just, I could do a whole hour talking about the ridiculousness of the sports media vultures on Curt Schilling, but let's go back to what we came here today for, which is baseball, which is what the Hall of Fame should be about. And speaking of baseball, we have a great birthday today. Cal Ripken Jr., 64? He can't be 64. Is he number 64? He can't be 64. Oh no, sing it like the Beatles, When I'm 64. Happy birthday, Cal Ripken Jr. Is he 64?
He's older than that.
Junior's older than that, Leonard?
I don't know.
All right. Where's Danny? Just like a Hollywood script, Dodgers Ohtani joins the 40-40 club with a walk-off grand slam yesterday. The sixth player in MLB history to hit 40 homers and steal 40 bases in a season. Who are the other five? Who are the other five hitters to hit 40 homers and steal 40 bases in a season? But while you're answering that question on the 40-40 club, Ohtani did it the quickest. He did it in his 126th game. I feel like I have to sneeze.
Mitchell and Merrill.
Good morning to the Merrill Hartson, the Mitchell Hartson, the Hartson brothers. Good morning to see you.
Laura.
Great to see you, Laura. Wonderful to have you aboard. Canseco was one, definitely. Acuna was one, definitely. So we have Canseco and Acuna. We have three other ones that did it besides Ohtani. 40-40 club, Hartson brothers. Who's in it? Besides Ohtani, Canseco, and Acuna, there's three others that hit 40 and stole 40 in the season. Let's see. So he did it in the quickest amount of time, 126 games. And he's the second in MLB to finish a season top two in both home runs and stolen bases. In 1909, Ty Cobb did it. In 1908, it was Honus Wagner. There's Ted Nugent and Kid Rock. You know I love those two, right? Okay. It doesn't take much to figure that out. Okay, so Bonds did it. Yes, Bonds did it. Who's guessed Vaughn? Bonds did it. That would be Canseco, Bonds, Acuna, Ohtani. We have two more.
Eddie Heckman's here.
Eddie Heckman, great to see you, friend. Say hello to Samantha for us if she's still over at your house. Good morning to Samantha. All right, so Eddie, we have the question mark. There's two other hitters in baseball history that have stolen 40 bases and hit 40 homers in a season. So far, we have Ohtani, who did it the quickest. We have Canseco in 1988. Took him 151 games. We have 2023 Ronald Acuna Jr. He did it in 152 games. Barry Bonds did it in 1996, 158 games. Merrill gets one with Alfonso Soriano. Took him 147 games in 2006, and there's one more. There's one more, kids. And you guys all know this guy because he did it in 1998. So let's get going. Yes, sir, A-Rod. I think that's Boston Paul, who doesn't like me anymore and won't show his name because he's afraid I'm going to pick on him. But I'm going to pick on him anyway because I know that's him. Jim Thome drew 104 walks during his MLB career in plate appearances that began with 2 strikes. 104 walks in plate appearances with 2 strikes. That means that he's standing up there with 2 strikes and they freaking walk the guy. That's Jim Thome. There's Ozzy. What are you doing? You trying to put all my favorite cats in the chat room? That's great. There's my friend Ozzy. And you know I get all pumped up seeing my favorite people. Next thing you know, he's going to put Trevor Bauer in there. Put up the tweet that you sent me of Trevor Bauer. All right, don't look now. Where's Stardog? Eddie Heckman, where's Stardog? The Kansas City Royals, who lost 106 games just a year ago, are now 1 game out of first place in the American League Central. Kansas City Royals are 1 game out of first place in the AL Central. And you know, this AL Central, who also was just a horrible division the last few years, is not so bad anymore. I mean, you got the White Sox, who are the bottom of the barrel. Where's Daniel Ferrara this Saturday morning? But for the most part, the AL Central is not too bad. Now, the number of MLB teams winning 55 to 60% of their games. Okay, the number of MLB teams winning 55 to 60% of their games. In 2022, there were 4. Good morning to Samantha. We welcome you aboard to our wonderful chat room full of baseball fans. And we know you're a big Orioles fan, so welcome aboard. 2023, there were 4. And 2024, there were 10 MLB teams winning 55 to 60% of their games. What's up with that? Right, Laura? The Arizona Diamondbacks keep rolling.
Chris Gallo.
Chris Gallo is here. Good morning to Chris and Debbie. And also, good morning to Teresa, the head of the Heckman family. I don't mean to forget you, Teresa. We know you're there too. Teresa, Samantha, and Eddie. The Arizona Diamondbacks, they routed the Red Sox 12-2, and now they're 17 games over 500 for the first time since 2017. Can you believe it? The Diamondbacks, they did great last year, but this year they're actually better. 17 games over 500 for the first time since 2017. Yu Darvish is back going. So Yu Darvish is back. We're missing Malpal. But it's going to be pretty wild if after all has happened this season, Dylan Cease, Joe Musgrove, and Yu Darvish end up being the Padres' 1, 2, and 3 starters at the end of the season. Okay, well, tell her I said hi, Eddie Heckman. Yes, Turd, Montgomery to the bullpen. We'll be talking about that soon. Where's Malpal? Mitchell, Merrill, Turd, Tommy Johnson, Leonard Donaldson, Laura, Lenny, Eddie Heckman, Data Premier, Chris from Cambridge, Chris Gallo, and Boston Paul, Tom Johnson. Anyway, what about Darvish? So he's been reinstated from the restricted list, and he was at Petco Park yesterday. So let's go back to the 40-40 club members. Did we get them all? Yes, we did with A-Rod. Okay, here's how it works. The number of career innings pitched by these 40-40 club members. Jose Canseco pitched 1 inning. Barry Bonds, 0. A-Rod, 0. Soriano, 0. Acuna Jr., 0. And Ohtani, of course, has pitched 481 and 2/3 innings. Now let's compare some shortstops from this year and how they compare to some other shortstops from previous years. I mean, to nobody's surprise, the record shakes out very favorably for the current group. Ugh. Now there you got me, Chris from Cambridge. I'm going to have to tell you I hate that one. We don't like warmongers. Okay? So I won't say who it is. It's a warmonger. All right, so comparing the shortstops from this year to the previous shortstops from prior years. All right, now among the many stats that one could use to compare these shortstops would be the weighted runs created plus, because it's a ballpark and ERA adjusted stat for which 100 represents the league average. This year's shortstops, it's based on primary position, not their position at the time of each plate appearance, but their primary position. They have a collective weighted runs created plus of 102, which is just a couple of ticks above average, but that's the highest out of any year's shortstop in the 125 seasons of the live ball era, and each of the top 7 values have come since 2016. So shortstops coming up in the world, no doubt about it. If this weighted runs created plus figure holds, this would be the first full season in which primary shortstops collectively produced offense at a better than average clip. So we could name some of the great shortstops we have, but we all know their names. They're all good. Good morning to White Sox Al. Ozzie Guillen. Yes, sirree. Ozzie Guillen. You know, he was on an interview and he said he was embarrassed about how he acted as a manager. He said he's embarrassed of his former self, and I can't believe it. I mean, what makes Ozzie Guillen so great is that I don't think he was embarrassing. He said it how it was, and he made sure that his players were coming to work every day working their ass off. I don't get what's so bad about it. Yes, he cursed a lot, but he did lead his team to a couple, maybe at least one World Series I know of, maybe 2. I know for sure 1. Anyway, White Sox Al, what do you think? Should Ozzie Guillen be embarrassed of how he was as a manager? I don't think so. King Turd says that shortstop and catcher position are both pretty loaded, and he wants to revisit how Ozzie feels about Jay Mariotti for his own entertainment. One time, gosh, who was it? It was Bartolo Colon. I hope I could give this story justice, but if you guys, White Sox Al, maybe you remember this, but it was right after Michael Jackson died, and Bartolo Colon was a White Sox, and Ozzie Guillen was on there saying he couldn't, that Bartolo Colon was missing, and he just kept saying his name. He's like, I can't find Bartolo Colon, and nobody knows where he is, and he's missing, and like, he was a huge Michael Jackson fan, and nobody's been able to find him, and he's like, I need to find my boy Bartolo. I definitely can't give it justice, but it was a hilarious interview. I mean, he was dead serious. He could not find Bartolo Colon, and he was like supposed to pitch, you know, he couldn't find him, and he was pretty sure that Bartolo Colon was very upset about Michael Jackson passing away. Does Ozzie Guillen belong in the Hall of Fame? That's a question for the chat room. He's in my Hall of Fame. Hello to King Hap, and good morning to Jolene. Let's see what King Hap is doing. Looking like you're winning on a Saturday, King Hap. That's pretty darn good. It looks like you're going to win this week. Malpal, great to see you and Tina. So what do you guys think about this idea that now Yu Darvish is coming back, and we want to know, is it going to be what it was supposed to be all season, which is Dylan Cease, Joe Musgrove, and Yu Darvish being the 1, 2, and 3 pitchers in the rotation? And what the hell, Manny needs 10 more homers to be the macho man that he is. Okay, let's go. What's the name of that team again? Puig. He plays for doesn't he play in Mexico?
Yes.
White Sox Al says no. Ozzie Guillen should not be embarrassed. He was entertaining, though. You knew he wouldn't last as manager. It was a fun time to be a White Sox fan, and that's the truth, ain't it? Isn't that the truth of it? All right, the Turd says the Padres bullpen is loaded. Yes, sir. Maybe Malpal hasn't had his coffee yet, so he doesn't know about Dylan Cease, Joe Musgrove, and Yu Darvish. taking control of the Padres' rotation. All right, so we do know the shortstops are better than ever. Now let's talk about Aaron Judge, who's also better than ever. And you can objectively say now that, maybe not objectively if I'm confusing Ohtani with Judge, because I gotta say Ohtani is right up there. But is Aaron Judge the best player in baseball right now? He's got 43 home runs and 101 runs batted in, 384 batting average. But does he have 40 steals too? No. So, I don't know. It's hard to say. This year, Aaron Judge started the season with a 197 batting average, 6 home runs, and 18 RBIs in the first 33 games. The next 94 games, 384, 43 homers, and 101 RBIs in the next 94 games. So that's what you have. Is it Judge or Ohtani as the best hitter in baseball right now? Thank you, Chris from Cambridge. Keeping me on my toes today, dude. All right, if you want to separate it from AL and NL, then that really helps out the controversy, right? Because you got Ohtani for the National League and Judge for the American League, and it's no question who's the best then. No doubt about it. I did not see that it has... So, the answer to your question, no, Malpal. It has not been announced when Darvish will be ready to pitch. All I know is that he was at the ballpark yesterday. So, he's off the restricted list. He's at the ballpark.
He'll be pitching Monday.
Okay, Lenny says he'll be pitching Monday. So, that's why we keep Lenny around, okay, in case any of you were wondering. All right, let's talk about Cy Young. What do you think, Chris Sale? 18 earned run allowed in his last 13 starts. That's starts, not innings. 13 starts, 18 runs allowed. He's the front runner now for the National League Cy Young Award. I love me some Chris Sale comeback. Gotta say, I really do. The only people annoyed at the Chris Sale comeback are the Red Sox fans. Right, Boston Paul? Right, King Hap? Dylan Cruz is being called up to the big leagues. He's the Nationals' #1 prospect, and he's being promoted to make his MLB debut on Monday night at Nationals Park. Juan Soto and the Yankees will be in town to take on Cruz and James Wood. What do you think, Turd? I know you're a big fan of James Wood, but here's what Cruz has done. In 48 AAA games this year, he hit .271 with 8 home runs, 30 RBIs, 10 stolen bases, and a 17.2% strikeout rate, 8.2% walk rate, and an 807 OPS. Those are some tongue ties there, but I made it through without any problems, okay?
Chris Gallo went to play golf.
Chris Gallo's going to play golf. Enjoy your day, Gallo. I hope you hit some birdies. There's King Hap. We must take this call.
Good morning, Hapster. 1 second, I'll turn you.
My secretary is giving me the phone. Yes, sir.
Good morning, Andrea. First off, I had to correct one statistic that you did say. I wanted to make sure I corrected it for the whole chat room.
Okay.
You said that's why you keep Lenny around when he told you that Darvish was pitching Monday. You forgot to leave out the fact of his rugged handsomeness, and that's really the real reason why we keep him around, correct?
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that.
I had a quick one. You were talking about Chris Sale, and I had a vested interest in that game last night, so I paid close attention. He was at Atlanta last night. Their defense helped them out with 4 double plays, including one in extra innings that was enormous. I mean, that Atlanta team seems like they're starting to click again. It may end up with the best record in Major League Baseball if they continue to keep playing like this. Their offense has let them down, but they got to keep going ahead and winning games. They may not be the best team in MLB, but they come to playoffs, this team could make a lot of noise. I wanted to get your opinion now. Number one, for fantasy moving forward, a lot of the guys on this team, I feel like they're starting to play better. Do you depend on them? Obviously, Chris Sale's a must-start at all turns. Kind of like Corbin Burns, who, had a bad game this week for Baltimore. But it's like some of these players that you think are must-starts and all, no matter the matchup, with the way teams are playing, there's a lot of parity. Going forward, do you think that there are must-starts when it comes to starting pitchers with one start, etc.?
Yes, I do. I think that you have to, the must starts. I mean, we're talking about pitchers that have been reliable all year long, and yes, you have to start them. I mean, at this point, there is some parity. There's definitely question marks with teams that aren't going to make the playoffs. They'll let their youngsters play more often, and teams that are definitely going to make the playoffs, are they going to let their stars rest a little more? You know what I mean? So it is tricky, but you got to roll with what you have, and you got to put together the best lineup you have. And as far as the Atlanta team goes, dude, what a great point that you made about their defense. And gosh, I follow a lot of Braves fans on X, and they've been just disappointed all year long, but the defense is still there, which is part of the reason why you can say that Chris Sale had such a massive comeback. Of course, he's pitching well, but these players in Atlanta, dude, if they start clicking offensively, like you said, they're gonna be just a monster to deal with. So yeah, dude, I'm definitely playing these guys, and I hope I answered your question as much as possible. You know, you're facing Boston Paul next week.
Oh yeah. I'm excited for that. Just a funny one. I went ahead and picked up some scrubs off the waiver wire yesterday, just to go ahead and let it see that it went up on the message board, and all of a sudden you see Boston Paul scrambling, trying to pick up this guy, pick up that guy, and it's fun to watch. So, the mind games in fantasy baseball come this time of the year is one of my favorite things to play, and I basically psyched out my opponent this weekend to starting different guys with extra closes, and people, you got to dance with the girl that brought you. You can't just keep switching because you get scared against others, and you want to take some advice from the Fantasy Network here. I mean, you got to agree with me, right? People that are switching out their teams in the playoffs, nervous that the other team are making terrible mistakes, no?
I agree with you 100%, King Hap. Thanks for the call, dude. Good luck.
Well, everyone have a fantastic weekend. Great show as always, Andrew. I look forward to talking to you soon.
Okay, bye. The great King Hap calling in, helping me out today. So nice. Okay. So, back to Dave Cruz, who we're talking about. He's getting called up to the big leagues, and Turd wants you all to know that this guy is a 5-tool player. The Nationals have done a spectacular rebuild, okay? And Dylan Cruz is being called up. He's the number one prospect for the the Nationals' number one prospect. He's coming up Monday night to face off with the Yankees. Him and another youngster rookie, James Wood, will be taking on a tough-ass team, okay, if you want me to put it bluntly, right? A tough team here in the Yankees. Now, Paul Skeens has started 7. This one also came from Turd, so thanks for the tidbits. We're going to do a little comparison, okay? Now, Paul Skeens started 17 big league games and took a loss in only 2 of them. And yes, that's pretty darn good. But you want to compare Skeens to Matt Harvey. Paul Skeens, first 17 major league games, 104 innings pitched, 130 strikeouts, a .94 whip, and a .216 ERA. Matt Harvey's first 17 major league games, 108 innings pitched, 128 strikeouts, a .94 whip, and a .207 ERA. What do those two have to do with each other? The only thing in my mind is that they both started great. Now, this is not like just because something is similar means it's going to end up the same way. Matt Harvey obviously couldn't deal with being mature enough, and he was out all the damn time at clubs and stuff like that. And you do remember that Paul Skeens has a beautiful, beautiful gymnast girlfriend, Olivia Dunn. I'm not saying he can't end up like Matt Harvey, but the chances are good that he's not going to. Maybe he'll come across other problems. As Malpal says, isn't he supposed to be on the injured list? That was a little jab that Malpal was pushing at me yesterday, which is fine. I still think Paul Skeens is very, very risky. He throws way too hard, way too much. So let's see what happens. I can't say that he's not a great pitcher, and so far he's been excellent, okay, in the short time that we've seen him. Now we'll see what happens next year. Can he stay healthy for the season? Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? You know what I mean? Who knows? So he does have a very violent delivery, and his arm whips back as soon as he releases the ball, which can't be great for his shoulder. Either way, he's doing good. I'll give it to Malpal. And I did notice your jab yesterday, and I still like you. Guess Vaughn is Boston Paul, in case anybody wants to know. All right, will Juan Soto's next contract be for more than $500 million?
Big L, sir.
Big L on the prowl, a local Mets fan. Hello to you, my friend. Great to see you. Reed Detmers, okay, turd? This one's for you. Reed Detmers, in his last 4 starts at AAA, all right? On August 4th, he pitched 3 2/3 innings, 6 earned runs, and 3 strikeouts. Then he came back out on August 10th, and he pitched 5 1/3 innings, 6 earned runs, 5 strikeouts. And then he came back on August 16th. He pitched 8 innings, 1 earned run, 11 strikeouts, and then 2 days ago, August 22nd, 7 innings pitched, 1 earned run, and 9 strikeouts. So there you go. There you go. Great to see you, Boston Paul. Okay. Question is, name the pitcher who 5 years ago yesterday, for the second time in that season, struck out 13 batters and hit a home run. Who's the pitcher 5 years ago yesterday, for the second time that season, struck out 13 batters and hit a home run in the same game? Who is the pitcher? No pitcher had done that previously. No pitcher had ever had 13 strikeouts and hit a home run in a game more than once in his entire career, not just for the season, but this guy did it twice in the same year. So, which pitcher struck out 13 batters and hit a home run? And it was not Thor. That's Noah Syndergaard. It was not him. Good guess, though. Thanks for playing. Yes, sir, DeGrom. It was DeGrom. And he struck out 13 and hit a home run in the same game twice in 2019. Outs above average. You know what that is? It's the cumulative effect of all individual plays that a fielder has been credited or debited with, making it a range-based metric of fielding skill that accounts for the number of plays made and the difficulty of them. So, are the Red Sox better with or without Trevor Story down the stretch? That's a question for you, but before you answer, here's a little tidbit, and the reason why I just explained what outs above average is. Trevor Story defensively, is crushing Ceddanne Rafaela. He had 8 outs above average in just 36 games at shortstop last season. He has elite defense, so whether or not he's great for fantasy, obviously not. Ceddanne Rafaela has been -8 in outs above average in 69 games at shortstop, so that's a 16 outs above average difference. That means that Trevor Story is much better defensively at saving runs and saving outs and getting outs and all of this. All right? There you go. It wasn't Ohtani. It was Jacob deGrom who did it. And if the stats get any nerdier, Chris from Cambridge is going to get a nosebleed. All right, the Braves' Spencer Schwellenbach has been unreal over his last 8 starts. 50 2/3 innings, a 2.84 ERA, 11.01 K per 9, and a 107 walks per 9. Unfortunately, we'll have next to no shot for Rookie of the Year since this class is so stacked but he could be a future number 2 starter in the MLB. Malpal, are you listening? Go check out Spencer Schwellenbach's formula, please. Or Turd or somebody that knows the formula. All right, we want to check this guy out to see if he's got what it takes under the hood or if he's just getting lucky here. All right. Tommy Johnston says he thinks Ohtani might just stick to hitting unless he actually wants to start pitching again. I think he should be the closer. Why the hell not? White Sox Al accidentally dumped Schwellenbach after a few mediocre starts. That was bad, but thanks for letting us know. You make us all feel better about the stupid things we did all season long. Right, Leonard?
Yeah, you are right.
Santander, Eddie and Samantha, okay? What about Santander, okay? Went 2 for 4 with a grand slam and an additional run scored in yesterday's 7-5 win over the Houston Astros. Now, that's something. This guy's been playing up to... he's been playing for a contract, clearly. And it's unfortunate that the Orioles don't have any room for him. I asked Eddie the other day if he thought Santander would sign with the Orioles again, and he said no. And that's probably the truth of the matter. I mean, there's just so many youngsters. They don't have room for him. And he's done a great job at playing for his future. So he went 2 for 4 with a grand slam and an additional run scored yesterday. Now, trailing 5-2 in the 8th inning, Santander cleared the bases with a 403-foot blast off Brian Abreu. He's 29 years old, and he's gone just 7 for 39 across his past 10 games, but still has powered up with 3 homers in that span. On the season, he ranks 3rd in the majors with 39 homers to go along with a .238 batting average, 86 RBIs, and 77 runs scored across 531 plate appearances. Turd says he's going to be crushing the formula with his lack of walks. I want to know what his ground ball plus strikeout percentage is, okay? I need to know those 2 numbers. But yes, keeping your walks down helps out. Definitely. DJ LeMahieu was hit in the face yesterday by a ball during warm-ups, and he was scratched from the games. He was scratched from the lineup against the Rockies with precautionary reasons. He has a facial contusion. He appeared to be okay after the incident, but the Yankees played it safe and gave him the night off. He's 35 years old, so he doesn't repair as quick as he used to. All right? He was slated to play first base and bat ninth, but both of those slots were filled by Ben Rice instead. LeMahieu should be considered day to day. Taj Bradley, last 2 seasons, I can't read all this. It's too much. He's doing better this year. He's doing much better this year than he did last time. Quinn Matthews entered the night leading minor league baseball in strikeouts, and he put a stamp on that with another gem for the Double-A Cardinals. It would be Quinn Matthews, Mathews, 7 2/3 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, and 12 strikeouts for Quinn Matthews. He's the Cardinals' 3rd-ranked prospect, lowered his ERA to 2.27 in 22 starts, so keep your eye out for Quinn Matthews, even though he's still at Double-A. You never know what they're going to do. Turd says, for fantasy purposes, that Anthony Santander and Ozuna are guaranteed to be undervalued again next year. I might be saying his name wrong, Samantha. I bet you pronounce Santander better than me because you've been to a lot more games than me and you know exactly what to say. Right, Samantha? All right, Malpal is listening. He says he's got a 28% strikeout rate and a 41% ground ball rate. but both better than his minor league career. Okay, so we'll have to kind of keep an eye out on Schwellenbach, but I'll say something that he's doing pretty darn good with a 28% strikeout rate and 41. I wish he'd get a few more ground balls, but he's very close. And the fact that he's not walking anybody, that helps him out a lot for potential breakout star, and we'll see what happens from there. But don't forget about Quinn Matthews, okay? Joe Musgrove has fired 20 consecutive scoreless innings against the Mets dating back to the 2022 NL Wild Card. But it was a pathetic performance by the Mets. They were shut out for the 11th time this year, outscored 53-0 in those 11 shutouts. Samantha says, yes, I will believe it. Blackburn exited early due to injury, while Musgrove's dominance of the Mets continued into a 20th consecutive scoreless inning. Blackburn was diagnosed with a right hand contusion after getting hit by a comebacker in yesterday's game against the Padres. For now, it appears Blackburn was able to avoid a significant injury, but he's scheduled to undergo further testing today. And once the results of those tests come back, a clearer picture will emerge regarding his status for his next start, which is tentatively scheduled to come on Thursday in Arizona. Laura? That's right. Pathetic is right. Right, Big Al? Big Al on the prowl? Okay, Ben Joyce throwing the ball so hard, 104.8 miles per hour, 104.5 miles per hour, and 103.2 miles an hour, setting the radar gun ablaze to close out last night's Angels win. Luis Castillo, Boston Paul, you got problems. You got a problem with Eflin, you have another problem with Castillo. Allowed 5 runs on 6 hits and struck out 9 while walking a batter over 6 innings in a no decision versus the Giants, yesterday. Now, Boston Paul has a bye week this week, so it's not affecting him much, but he's got both Castillo and Eflin in his starting rotation. And he's got to face Happ, who just traded last week for Corbin Burns. So, Luis Castillo was in line for the loss until the Mariners rallied to tie the game in the 8th inning. He gave up a season-high 3 homers, and the 5 runs against also matched a season high. He allowed multiple homers just 4 times over his first 25 starts this year, but he has now done so in back-to-back outings. Oof! He's tired. Castillo just hanging on by a string right now, but allowing all these home runs. Back-to-back outings, he's given up multiple homers. So he's got a 3.66 ERA, a 1.16 whip, 163 strikeouts to 43 walks in 159 and 2/3 innings over 27 starts. This year, he gets to face the Rays at home next week, which is a positive because, the Mariners have a pitcher's park, so it is positive that he's at home. And Machado, Manny the Macho Man, went 3 for 5 with an RBI yesterday. They beat the Mets 7-0. Machado had just one multi-hit effort over his previous 11 games, going 8 for 39, batting .205 in that span. All 3 of his hits yesterday were singles. He's hitting .270 with a .321 on-base percentage, 20 homers, 74 RBIs, 61 runs scored, 23 doubles, and 7 stolen bases in 121 games this season.
Last one.
And the Diamondbacks are kicking Jordan Montgomery to the bullpen. Jordan Fatty Montgomery, okay? That's his name. Jordan Fatso Montgomery, who, I'm sorry, I'm chunky myself and I don't have a problem with chunksters, okay? But Jordan Montgomery is getting paid a lot of money to be in shape, and he's getting paid a lot of money to pitch right. And he's not pitching right, and he's a big fatso. I've never seen him so out of shape in my life, okay? And he's now being demoted to the bullpen. Lavelle announced the decision on the Burns and Gambo show yesterday afternoon. He said that he informed Montgomery of the decision, and Ryan Nelson has outpitched Montgomery in the recent weeks, earning the 5th starter job in the process. So Nelson, he was on the mound at Fenway Park last night, carried an ERA approaching 5 into the All-Star break. Okay, now that says something about Montgomery when you replace him with a guy who's got a 5 ERA. But he did completely flip the script after the All-Star break, and in the past month, he's got a 2.89 ERA while striking out 29% of opposing hitters in 37 1/3 frames. Now, Nelson remains behind Gallen, Merrill Kelly, Eduardo Rodriguez, and Brandon Pfaadt in the starting 5. On the other hand, Montgomery has struggled for essentially the entire season. He has an ERA of 6.44, his well below average 15% strikeout rate over 19 starts. Now, he did get a late start of to the season, but there is no excuse for the way he's been handling his... Look, this thing about, like I said, I don't have a problem with chunky people, okay? We're chunky in our family. That's perfectly lovable and fine. But when you're just blatantly not taking care of yourself, I don't care if you got a late start to the season or not. What'd you do the whole time? You just ate donuts from Krispy Kreme the whole time you weren't pitching? Why weren't you out there with the trainer? Why weren't you pitching? Why weren't you keeping yourself in shape? You get paid millions of dollars to eat the proper and take the proper care of you. And that's how I feel, and that's what I don't hold back. Now, thank you to everybody in the chat room for coming around. We love it. Samantha, hope you're enjoying your time with your grandfather, and time to wake up Teresa. Maybe I woke her up with my yelling all the time. But anyway, we love you all. We appreciate you all. And we will see you again tomorrow for Lady and the Legend. And I hope you all have a beautiful day.